Y'all on my life, I dance to your tune. Don't stay in no beat, don't stay in no tempo. As a youngin', I followed
Loving
your
your
footsteps.
family and
Feeling like
protecting
I'm
your
your
peace can
shadow.
feel
Feel the
like
soul
a
that I
contradiction,
live. Leaning into
especially
trade
if
to
you were
carry the
raised to
fade.
believe
All this
that
stress on my shoulders that
obedience
weigh. Not
equals
walking by
love.
sight, but walking by
What
faith. Some
happens
nights
when
I
you
pray.
grow
That all of the
and your growth
trouble and all of the
makes people
struggles
uncomfortable?
and all of the
What
battles won't
happens
be
when
on
you
my
want
travels as I find
closeness
my
but
own
not
way.
at the cost of
No more
yourself?
follow the leader, I got my own games to
Welcome back to
play.
Into the Dark with the
All the
PK.
childhood
I'm
picture, I got
Ari.
my own.
I might sound a little stuffy, a little sick. I'm just tired for real. But I'm gonna do this episode, and this is for y'all. Um, I don't usually say the title at the beginning, but the name of this episode is loving your family without losing yourself, and I think that's a big topic to talk about. So I'm gonna really like take my time with this and try to speak to y'all and just keep it real, you know. So let's get into it. Family roles are powerful. You have the responsible one, you have a spiritual one, the strong one, the example. You have a lot of different types of people in your family, and each play a different role. And when you're held to that role for years, it becomes familiar, not just to them, but to you too. So you get accustomed to being that certain person for people, or you just get accustomed to being that way for real. So when you start changing, it doesn't just shift you; it shifts the entire system. So like we kind of touched on last episode, was just when you growing and you changing, everybody has to adapt to the change as well, and not everybody gonna be cool with it, but it's a shift to your whole environment. There's a difference between dishonoring your family and becoming your own person. Okay, I'm gonna say that again because that's big. There's a difference between dishonoring your family and becoming your own person. What we have to understand is we tend to merge the two, right? And when we want to go our own separate ways and it doesn't look like how our family think it should look, we start to feel like it's us dishonoring them, and it's more so you becoming your own person, you becoming your own individual, and that's a part of life. It's just you finding yourself for real. So, but for a long time, I confused the two. I didn't. I like I said, it can merge, and that's something you have to learn to sit down and sit with yourself and ask yourself like, okay, am I doing this for me, or like am I doing this just to go against my family? You know, because really that's what it is. When you dishonoring like your family, that's you going against your family for real. So that you really need to like take a step back and be like, hey, is this for me? Like, am I really doing something wrong, or am I doing something that's best for me? Because I thought disagreement meant disrespect. I thought boundaries meant distance. So me disagreeing with my family, I thought was the biggest level of disrespect. Especially like I have a very vocal family, if that makes sense, and they're very opinionated. And at when I was younger, I didn't really understand that. I never really understood why people had their opinions of everything and said what they said and just talked for real, just talk. And as I got older, I learned how to deal with them for real because I didn't agree with everything. I I'm not saying that like they was wrong about everything, but at the same time, I was trying to find myself. And a lot of times when we on our journey to find ourselves, we don't agree with what our family got going on because we're trying to break generational curses, trying to break generational habits that are not good, toxic habits, toxic relationships, just things that we're used to seeing in the family that just isn't right. And a lot of times when you that person to break those chains, it could look it looks totally different to everybody else. Like, it could come off as you're dishonoring your family. It can come off as disrespect. It can come off as distance. But at the same time, it's not if you growing you. So don't ever belittle yourself or bring yourself down because you're trying to grow and it doesn't look like everybody else feel like it should look. But growth doesn't automatically equal rebellion either. Because, that's another thing. Like I said, like, you just going against your family because you're trying to grow. That's not what it is. It's just like you're just trying to find yourself and you're just trying to find your way and you're just trying to make it in life on your own and figure it out. Because nobody has the real true guide of how life is really supposed to go. We all figuring out day by day. We're all going through things day by day. Sometimes it just means you're thinking for yourself. And that's good. It means you got your own brain, your own mind, and you create your own person. So never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop, healing yourself, building yourself. Never stop because it's necessary. I say learn and grow every day. When you start setting boundaries with family, guilt get loud. But the guilt gets loud because you're not used to it. Boundaries, you're not used to setting boundaries. When you have to tell a family member you don't like what they just did and they not finna be able to do that again, that's setting the boundary. And they looking at you like, what? And later on, you probably thinking like, dang, was I harsh when I said that? Was I being, too hard, or did I really need to say that? And you did, because you set the boundary. And your thoughts is, oh, I set this boundary, but, oh, they sacrificed a lot for me, so I shouldn't have did that. Or maybe they're saying you being dramatic, and they saying this isn't how we do things. I just hold true to your boundary. Because you set that boundary for a reason, right? What they said or what they did didn't make you feel safe. Didn't make you feel comfortable. Didn't make you feel great. So address it. Put your foot down. Let them know. And don't let it happen again. Don't let them get away with it. Because once you start letting them get away with it, little by little, they gonna think it's okay to cross any boundary you set. And if you grew up prioritizing, harmony, conflict feels dangerous. And that's me for real, because I always want to keep the peace. I was never one to really set boundaries. I was never one to really, speak up and everything. And it gets a little scary. I'll be honest, because it starts to feel like you're losing people while you're trying to like find yourself. And some people, in some situations, setting boundaries can be dangerous, because it depends on what the boundary is. But discomfort isn't the same as disrespect. Boundaries aren't punishment. That's their clarity. They say, I love you, but I'm not available for that. They say, I hear you, but I'm making a different choice. I need space to think, or I'm not going with it. That's not what I'm going with. Boundaries protect connections by preventing resentment. Because do we ever really want to have a relationship with family and not really like them, really? Not really be able to. You looking at them sideways for real. And everybody should be able to set a boundary in some type of way because we all are experiencing life different. So we all don't like the same thing. We all don't take the same and like okay, so I'm gonna give you like this a scenario, right? So if you grew up okay, no. I wanna give y'all a scenario and it's not working. Okay. Scenario. My family has a very dark humor or dry humor. And if you're sensitive, you will get your feelings hurt. So, knowing how they operate, you have to set a couple boundaries and let them know what topic or what subject they can't laugh or joke about, right? Because you in front of them, all bets are off. Everything. It's open season. No matter what. You walk in, big toe hanging out the shoe, immediate roast. Like it's no safe zone with them. Now I ain't even gonna hold you. It ain't no safe zone. It's funny. We be laughing for days. Everybody cracking jokes, everything. But if you're not used to that, then it's definitely like a situation where you gonna walk in and let's say I walk in with my girl and she not used to that. She gonna be looking at me like you gonna let them, talk about me like that. I'm looking at her like, you better come out with the jokes back. You better start roasting back because that's what I'm used to. But if she not used to it, then I have to set a boundary. And because that's not her cup of tea. She ain't with it. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta go ahead and be like, yo, hey, she ain't with that. She off limits. Like y'all can't do that. Like this ain't something she down for or she with. So, I have to set that boundary. So it's little simple things, you can start with and you can start building into the big things, the big boundaries and things like that. But that was just like an example of like setting a boundary and just kind of like with family because when your family have their ways and that's the way of the land, then setting boundaries is kind of crazy to them. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's something different for real. So I mean, not everyone will understand the growth that you're doing immediately, and sometimes they don't even understand it at all. Especially if your old role benefited them, right? If your old role benefited them, they definitely not gonna understand that boundary of you taking that away. Because if this growth causes you to cut that, then all hell will let loose. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, all hell can break loose for real. And it could be a whole splat for real. But understanding it is not a requirement for you to grow. Respect this. Okay, let me say it again so it'll make more sense. Because the way I said it was kind of weird. And I probably didn't say it right. But what I was saying was understanding, the word understanding, them understanding is not a requirement for you to grow. Respect is. So basically, they have to respect your growth. They ain't got to understand it. They got to respect it. That's what I mean. Respect. Demand your respect. They ain't got to understand anything. But demand your respect. Because if they don't respect you, you don't really need to be. You need to slowly remove yourself, because respect is a big thing for real. And when people start disrespecting you, things can get real ugly. You can love your family deeply and still refuse to be put in the box that they want to put you in. You can honor your upbringing and still evolve past it. You can still grow past just where they stopped at. You can appreciate what they gave you and still build something different. Love doesn't require for you to belittle yourself or for you to erase who you want to be. Because that's not love. Love, they gonna love you regardless of who you are, what you do, how you move, whether they agree or they don't agree. I mean, me personally, I've learned it the hard way. Just being honest, cause like, with me and my sexuality and me and my family, I was shrinking myself for their comfort. Still kind of is. I ain't even gonna hold you. I mean, y'all already know that because I spoke about it in a previous episode. But is be better than me. How about that? Be better than me. Don't shrink yourself. Don't shrink yourself to please your family. Don't. Because your happiness is what matters. Your happiness is what matters most for sure. Because it's your mental that you have to deal with every day. They don't know what go on in your head. And even if you were open with them and tell them like what go on, they still ain't got to deal with them thoughts 24/7. And it's really, it can be real complicated when it comes to family, because like, I'm trying to build something different, and you, just cause you can't see what I'm building, you finna be on some BS, or you finna try to block what I'm trying to do because you don't understand it, or you don't want me to be bigger than the program, and that ain't fun. So definitely big on boundaries. Set your boundaries. You see somebody trying to overstep, set your boundaries. Do what you need to do to grow and better yourself. If you're navigating family growth right now, start small. Okay? So clarify your values privately first. So pull the person aside, communicate it calmly, don't react, avoid over explaining anything. Expect adjustment, not instant agreement. So they ain't gotta agree, but they do have to shift and adjust to what the boundaries you set and the way you're moving now. Because adjusting is change, and they have to now that you took a different path, they have to adjust themselves in your path that you're taking if they want to stay there. If that makes sense. So that's why you expect the adjustment, because they have to make changes too when you're growing and they're growing with you. Not saying they have to do a whole growth like you're doing, but just some things may have to change, like how they interact with you, maybe, things like that. So just think about that when you are, having those conversations, and you are looking at the situation after you've had the conversation, and see just how much change they did do, or how well did they adjust to what you said, and just how they're taking in everything. But most importantly, don't abandon yourself to avoid attention. Don't drop everything you're doing because you're like, man, this causing too many problems. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because honestly, sometimes it's meant for you to stir the pot for things to happen. So definitely don't be scared of losing closeness by being honest. I understand it. I definitely do. But closeness that requires you to disappear isn't real closeness. It's compliance. So, if you can't be honest with the person you think that is closest to you, just take a moment and think about it. Like, when I mentioned like me wanting to be trans, like, or I wanted to, transition and everything, I've been honest with my family. I've told my mom, I told my dad, and I've told my aunt and my cousin. I've told my best friend. I've told my sister. I've told a lot of people. As I think about it, and I'm naming everybody, I've told a lot of people, and everybody has voiced their opinion. Now, the main person I'm worried about, I haven't said nothing to. But yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling, and like I said, it's compliance. It's me just agreeing to go with how they wanted to go. And is that fair to myself? No. Will I do something about it? Eventually. Right now, it's a little difficult. Maybe one day y'all can help me build up the courage to actually do it. But family dynamics take time to shift. It does. To take a complete shift, it really does take time. So everything is not gonna happen overnight. You saying boundaries, nothing's gonna shift overnight. You gotta give your people a little bit of time to adjust. Now they gotta look like they trying to adjust. I'm not saying let them keep or let them belittle you and stuff like that until they get with the program. Nah. You gotta see some kind of change, little by little. Because sometimes people ain't gonna change. But to make sure that during this shift, you're actually still taking care of yourself. But the moment you stop shrinking is the moment you start taking up space. So you become big. And that's what we're talking about next week. Learning to take up space without apologizing. Learning to be bigger than the program and be bold about it. But I just want to thank y'all for sitting in the dirt with me on another episode. I'm gonna end this podcast with a question. So, what's one boundary you've been afraid to set with family? That's my question. Y'all can answer it in the comments. I might also make a separate post with the same question, so y'all can answer it there too. But that's my question for y'all. This is Into the Dark with the PK. I'm Ari. Good night.
I'm the childhood preacher, I got my own things to say as I go out on